Hello, everybody.
Hello, governors.
Thank you for joining us. We just want to take a minute to say I'm really very pleased to have my friend, Governor Christie, join us tonight. I think, as you know, he's in town. We're having a little event a little bit later this evening, a book event. But, you know, Governor Christie and I have been very good friends for quite some time now. We have a long history together. It goes way beyond politics. He's a guy I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and we're happy to have him here, and we'll maybe say a word or two, and then we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Gov.
Good to be with you.
Thanks. Good to be back in Maryland. Good to be here with America's most popular governor. And so I'm thrilled. This is my first time back since Larry's re-election, and it was an extraordinary accomplishment on his part and a great affirmation for the leadership that he provided from the first day that he entered this House for the people of Maryland. So I'm thrilled to be here. Mary Pat and I are both very grateful for Larry and Yumi's friendship, and we look forward to a lot of successful years ahead together. So thanks for having me back.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Governor Christie, we get to work around this guy all the time.
Yes, you do. How lucky you are.
We know what's going on with him.
Yep.
You travel around and get to hear other people talk. What's in the other 49 states, what's the reputation you're hearing about the guy next to you?
That he's a uniter. The thing I hear more than anything else about Larry Hogan when I travel around the country is a kind of sense of wonderment about how did he bring such a diverse state together with his incredible approval ratings, his smashing re-election numbers. People are like, how did it happen? Because they just wouldn't expect that it would happen for a Republican in Maryland. And so, I always hear a variation of how did that happen? How did he bring everybody together? And I tell people all the time that I really believe it began with the disturbances in Baltimore right at the beginning of his term, and the forthright, honest, transparent way that he dealt with that. I think it showed the people of Maryland that they had a very different kind of leader here now. And I think that's really just carried all the way through his time as governor. So when people are asking me how did that happen, that's the instance that I bring up the most, to make people understand that a moment of real crisis, real civil discord, when that could have gone either way, Governor Hogan's presence and his honesty and his transparency about dealing with that crisis, I think led the people of Maryland to believe they had made the right choice in 2014, and that's how he was able to bring them together with the same kind of leadership over the course of the next 4 years. So that's what I hear the most about him. They can't understand how a Republican could bring all these Republicans, Democrats, and independents together in Maryland, and that's the example I use whenever I'm asked.
Governor Hogan, you had a meeting yesterday with...
Let me follow up on that. I can't let that one go without, first of all, thank you for those kind words. And I really had a good role model because I was following the lead. I had a blocker ahead of me. I mean, Governor Christie did these things in New Jersey before I did them here in Maryland, and he came in here and helped me get elected in 2014, but then he was reelected in New Jersey, which is also a very blue state. He did similar things where he won large numbers of minority votes that other people didn't do. He went to places that Republicans didn't usually go, and it's the same kinds of things that he did to get reelected in New Jersey we did here in Maryland. And I'll say he mentioned about the riots in Baltimore, which was 90 days after I became governor. The very first call that I got was from Governor Christie. As soon as we declared that emergency and I stepped off the stage, he was on the phone, on my cell phone, giving me just tremendous advice. And he's been there every step of the way. Every time something major comes up, he's there as a good friend and a good advisor, and I appreciate that.
Governor, yesterday you met with the leaders from the University of Maryland Medical System. The Senate President this morning described your part of the meeting. He said you were exercising the meeting. Can you characterize the meeting at all for your part and what you sort of expected the board and the legislature to do about this issue?
I would say I would describe it as a very direct, very forceful meeting where we left no uncertainty about our concern about some of the things that had been going on with the board and with some of the decisions that were made. We told them that we were going to have to get some answers and get some solutions, and I think they realized at the end of the hour-long meeting that things were going to have to change and that decisions were going to have to be made, and that resulted in some legislation being submitted today and some actions being taken. that I think is just the start, but we're going to get to the bottom of this and make sure that we get it resolved and that these kinds of things never take place again.
Governor, one of the members on that board just resigned pretty recently. I just want to get your thoughts on that, your reaction.
Well, I said the very first moment that we heard the story break that nobody should be serving on the board while having any kind of financial relationship with the hospital system. If somebody has the financial relationship with the hospital system, they shouldn't be on the board. And so I believe that those folks that are conflicted need to resign and before we reconstitute this board with legislation.
Do you agree that do you agree with the decision to have Crunchick take a leave of absence?
I think until we get to the bottom of what happened and who made what decisions, I think it's a smart idea.
On 2020, I'm wondering if you all have talked at all, what those conversations have been like, what, if any, advice you've given to Governor Hogan, and last part of the question, whether you think there should be a primary challenger to Trump.
Well, honestly, the governor and I haven't spoken about it, but I'm hanging out with him tonight, so I'm sure the topic will come up, and maybe we'll have more stuff to talk to you about tomorrow. I don't know, but listen, I made it really clear previously when I've been asked about this that I think Larry has an extraordinary future as a leader of our party nationally. I've also said that, as I think he has said as well, that I don't see a political path at the moment for challenging the president in a primary. One of the things that makes Larry so good at what he does is he's extraordinarily practical. He tries to solve problems for people, and that's what he's done for the people of Maryland. And I'm confident that after we talk tonight, we'll figure out how to solve any problems together that might be around politically. But I don't know what Larry's future is going to be in our party, but I'm confident it's going to be a really bright one nationally and one that I'm always going to be happy to be a part of.
Yeah, he's got pretty good political advice. We just picked him up at the train station. We haven't had a chance to talk. You're the first ones we're talking to, but I'm going to work him over pretty good tonight and try to get all the advice I can. And we're going to have a slumber party and maybe watch chick flicks and eat some popcorn
It'll be
and
really
hang
good.
out.
Like we always do when I come here.
Governor, where is your mind right now about the possibility of possibly making a challenge?
Look, a lot of other people are talking about it. I haven't been talking about it. I think Governor Christie said it exactly the way I've been saying it, and that is that there currently it doesn't make any sense at all, but we just don't know what the future holds and don't know what that might look like several months from now.
Governor Christie, why do you say there's no political path right now? Why do you think that?
Well, because the president has like 80+% approval ratings among Republican voters. So it's a pretty narrow landing strip to try to land a primary challenge on. So I just look at it practically. And I think that's exactly what Governor Hogan has talked about. And I would tell you this, leadership is about being practical, but also being nimble. And the fact is that I think Larry evaluates all of these different both political challenges and opportunities in a very practical way, but he's also being smart about it. You have to be ready to respond to any change in circumstances that come in our country. That's what leadership is expected to do, whether it's a change in circumstance in anything that happens here in Maryland or a change in circumstance that happens nationally. You have to be ready to respond. And he's a good politician and a great leader, and he'll figure out how to do that.
Are you frustrated by the leadership currently at the White House?
Oh, listen, I don't know. I'm not frustrated. Listen, there are days when the president does things that I agree with and that I support, and there are days when the president does things that I don't agree with and I don't support. And when I get the chance to do my commentary on ABC or other venues that I've had the benefit of because of the book tour, I express myself pretty clearly. And I don't think anybody has any doubts, and I can tell you that the president doesn't have any doubts when I agree and when I don't. But I've been friends with him for 17 years. So most of the things that I express to him, I don't express through you all view. I pick up the phone and call him. So no, I wouldn't characterize myself as frustrated at all. I think the country has a great economy going right now. People are benefiting from great Republican leadership on the economy, not only here, but in the states that have Republican governors. If you look at the states that have Democratic governors, you're seeing it already that they're lagging. My own state is half the amount of job growth percentage-wise that the national average is after 1 year of Democratic leadership. It makes a difference. What he's done here in Maryland makes a difference. And by the way, that's why people are talking about him in a national context.
Hey, Governor, returning to the University of Maryland, so you said it was a very direct conversation on your part. Do you feel that the representatives from the University of Maryland Medical System were equally direct and forthcoming to the questions and concerns that you raised?
I would say I was pretty direct and forceful, and they were doing more listening than talking. But I think they got the idea that we were pretty serious.
Governor Hogan, the $15 minimum wage bill should be on its way to your desk soon. Do you have a plan or a thought about what action you want to take regarding that bill?
I think we're going to take a look at that next week, along with the other bills they might send up.
Do you like it in its current form?
What's that?
Do you like the bill in its current form?
We had a press conference about that last week, and I made it very clear how I felt about the bill, but we're going to discuss those next week.
One more 2020 question. Would you consider being a Trump, not for you, Governor Hogan, I don't think, would you consider?
I would follow up on him. I've been very clear. I think the president has, I haven't been shy about letting him know how I feel about him either, or when I disagree. So, I don't talk to him quite as often as he does, but I think he knows where I stand on issues pretty much too. So,
Yeah, I can tell you he does.
And, we agree on a lot of things, and we've worked together in a lot of campaigns, including me endorsing him when he was running. But that's one place where we parted. I remember the president calling him and saying, "Hey, what's up with your boy Hogan?" when we weren't on the same team last time.
Would you consider being a surrogate for President Trump in 2020, or is that?
Who are you asking?
She's asking you.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think Governor.
I didn't know. I mean, she might have been looking for the perfunctory no from you. I don't know.
She said, "I'm not bothering to ask you."
Listen, I have a different set of responsibilities now. I'm a commentator for ABC News, and so I don't think I'll play the same kind of role for the president in 2020 that I played for him in 2016. That's just the nature of my life now. In 2016, I was sitting governor and was free to be able to act politically in any way that I saw fit. Now I have other responsibilities in the private sector that don't restrict me from doing that, but place some kind of practical restraints on how much you can really do all that from a time perspective and a perception perspective too, as you're providing commentary to people on a weekly basis on the ABC shows. So, we'll see what happens. Listen,
And besides, we don't even know if he's going to run.
well, that's true. I don't think I'm fairly sure, but I'm not. What I would tell you though is that I think that in the end, especially for a president seeking re-election, surrogates matter much less. The first time around, when he was an unknown quantity, surrogates mattered a lot more. People are going to have a full idea of the president, his performance, his temperament, his attitudes, his approaches. And really, he's going to have to either win or lose his own re-election. So I think in many respects, the surrogate job is much less important in 2020 than it was in 2016.
So you talked about this person working in Annapolis, and it's getting a little heavy down there now. The 1052 House bill about splitting up the comptroller's office, and of course, some are trying to figure out what's behind that. If that goes through and comes to your desk, would you veto that?
Well, again, we're going to talk about those bills next week after we take a look at them. I think they may have sent them up today, or we haven't really. I've been busy all day. As you know, I spoke at Governor Hughes' funeral. I spoke at a climate change conference this morning in Baltimore. Haven't even seen the bills, but we'll take a look at it next week. I think it's all politics is what's behind the whole thing, and the legislature has introduced more than 100 bills to take power away from me. This is now trying to take power away from the comptroller. Even though he's in the same party, they don't like the fact that he's working in a bipartisan way with us for the people of Maryland, and it's pure politics. There's no other reason for it, but we're going to take a look at that next week. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.